two of the greatest managers of all time in the ring at the same time at once in front of 1,000 people, if that. And WCW has some of the most offensively meh that we've covered so far. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dropkicks and Attractions. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Holy shit, we're back. A dinosaur story. I've made that joke before.
I know, right?
I know. Deja vu. I am Xander Invictus. Welcome aboard to Dropkicks and Attractions. Joined by my close personal friend and co-host, Big Bot. Hello, sir.
Hello, Xander. How's your day going?
Well, I'm off for the next 2 days, so thank God.
Good deal.
By the way, before we get into it, my beverage of choice this evening is I found some cans. I still have like half a 12-pack. Arizona green tea with ginseng and honey. The only good Arizona flavor. Well, more, but it's the best.
I've always been partial to their Arnold Palmers.
Fair. And what are you drinking, sir?
Today is Diet Dew, same as usual.
Same as the reverse, same as the first. Okay. Well, first off, Fantasticon was an absolute blasty blast.
Oh yeah, had a great time up there.
Yeah, we go every year. I had some personal stuff to take care of last week, or we were doing back last week. Wait. Was that your first trip to Waffle House?
I've been there before, but it's been quite a while.
Oh, I was going to say, the only bad thing about Waffle House, we didn't see any fights, but the food was amazing.
Yeah, I got a hash brown egg scramble bowl. That was wonderful.
Oh, the food at Waffle House is and it's cheap as shit, too.
You wouldn't think it would be as good as it is for the price point.
Oh, it's delicious. Yeah, we had a good time. We go up there every year. That was a blast. Already planning on next year. We're going to a convention, about 2 weeks now?
Yeah, 2 weeks from today.
Yes, we're going to Cinema Wasteland in Strongsville, Ohio, outside Cleveland. It is a horror / grindhouse / cult movie convention. I drag you to at least once a year. They do it twice a year, but we try to drag you at least once a year.
I had fun the last time we went.
Yeah, you end up finding something.
Yeah.
I'm excited because there's a lot of cool people I want to meet this year, including our Lord and Savior, Lloyd Kaufman. All hail Uncle Lloyd.
Remind me who he's known for?
Troma. He invented Troma. That's where James Gunn got his start.
Oh.
All hail James Gunn.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, we got that coming up. We got some cool stuff. SummerSlam is going to be in Cleveland this year. We are planning on going. As of right now, tickets haven't been announced yet, but we're already planning on going to SummerSlam because I've been to pay-per-view, not one of the big four.
I've never been to a WWE pay-per-view, but we did some Impact last year.
Yeah, TNA now, but when it was Impact, we went to Against All Odds last year. Had a blast. That was a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, that was another fun trip. I had a great time with that.
Speaking of SummerSlam, we're actually, less than a month out now? About 3 or 4 weeks out from SummerSlam 93.
Yep.
We're about 2 weeks out from Clash of the Champions. One of the greatest Flair for the Gold moments. We'll get to that later. We are going to, once again, we are not in New York City. We are not even in Poughkeepsie for Monday Night Raw. We're in a place called Alexandria Bay, New York. And when I say let's put it this way, the Castle Recreation Center. We're in a rec center.
Put it like that.
Yeah, I've been to Monday Night Raws. I went to one in Cleveland. They're normally in bigger cities. Like even in '93, Poughkeepsie was. At the time, I checked stats because geography interests me. Right now, or right at the time, roughly 30,000 people, which is still small for Raw, but it was 93 when that was about what you were going to get for TV tapings. There was a lot of Poughkeepsie in the day, especially on the TV tapings.
Yeah, gotcha.
I am in the wiki page for Alexandria Bay, New York. I am going to go by the 1990 census.
Okay.
We'll give you one solid guess, because I told you about, because this is roughly the size of the town I grew up in, up until I left my parents' house. So you're familiar with the size of that town?
Yeah.
How big do you think this, we're going to go, like I said, 1990 census. I'm looking at the stats right now.
Okay.
One solid guess on how big the population was in 1990.
So you said in front of 1,000 people, I'm going to guess about, say 20% went 5,000?
No, like you're going way. I was joking about how many people were in the thing because we'll also talk about how small this rec center is.
Oh, my mistake.
You went way wrong.
Okay, you call it maybe 1,000 people then?
You're not far off. According to the 1990 U.S. Census, Alexandria Bay, New York, the home of Monday Night Raw this week and next week, mind you,
Hmm.
1,194.
That's it?
That's it. As of 2020, they are down to 924.
Is that the smallest arena Raw's ever played?
Oh, probably easy. Because you got to think about this is considered because for those that aren't familiar with geography or how they do like the difference between a town and a city is like population.
Right?
This is classified as a village.
Ah,
The town I grew up in, from the time I was 11 to the time I left my parents' house at 19 to join the army, is a village.
gotcha.
This is from what I've read this actually has technically, by a shade, more water than land.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's roughly about 50-50, but like the space or outline, whatever you want to call it for the town,
Hmm.
it's about half water. So it has the land wise 0.76 square miles. 3/4 of a square mile.
That is tiny.
It is the closest city that I'm familiar with. I'm not too familiar with New York upstate. 94 miles to Syracuse.
Gotcha.
It is that far up north. It looks like it's closer to Canada. However, as small as this town is, it still has 5 locations on the National Register of Historic Places.
Really? That's cool.
For those that aren't familiar with that, it's a thing, and I don't know how they do it in other countries, but America, you have like buildings that if you can determine that this is considered a historical landmark or historical building for whatever reason,
Hmm.
you can put it in the register and you can't tear it down, you can't like gut it and remodel it or whatever like that.
Right, they become tourist attractions.
Yeah, there's 5 in a town of 1,000 people. 5.
That's a lot.
Yes. And it's basically, from what I've been reading here, it's a resort town. Basically, a bunch of people come in, it's a boating town where the town will go up to, okay, we'll put it this way. Most people know what Cedar Point is. Everybody knows what Cedar Point is.
Right.
The town, the town that's attached to Cedar Point, for lack of a term, is Sandusky, Ohio.
Hmm.
Average sized town, city, or whatever. It gets so packed. If I remember correctly, somebody said at some points, because of how big Cedar Point is, with just how many people go stay up there for the summer, hotels, up to 1 million people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if I heard right. So the influx of basically this is like a boating resort town. This is where like money type shit, from what it seems to me.
Gotcha.
Because according to Wikipedia, the total value of exports is $6 billion.
Wow.
For a village of less than 1,000, they export $6 billion worth of goods.
Holy crap.
So that means there's money up there. But apparently, when you have your highest influx of like vacationers, it gets up to 15,000 people, which basically is the town I live in now. My quote unquote hometown
Gotcha.
is roughly 15,000 people. So it goes about that big. Basically, and there's hotels and motels around this place. This is basically a resort town. And the first episode of Raw is August 2nd. So it looks like we're still, from what I read here, we're still in the height of tourist season because it says early fall. And apparently there's a big pirates are big because it's a big town festival. Because every town has a small festival.
Yeah.
We have one here in my hometown. Speaking of New York, we're doing our tangents early, folks, because I just find this interesting that Monday Night Raw went live in a town of roughly 1,000 people. This fascinates me.
Why would they pick there of all places?
You're asking the wrong person. The rec center is so small you could literally see the roof. Watch this episode back in. You can see the roof of the
Oh,
building.
I didn't catch that while I was taking my notes.
Watch it next week because they had the episodes there for next week too. Because they tape the episodes.
Right. One live, one taped.
Yeah, you can see the roof of the building.
That's just wow.
Yeah, see this stuff I find fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is basically a money town. I've imagined because money, whatever. But yeah, I find it fascinating that Monday Night Raw, which let me just see for shits and giggles where Monday Night Raw is going to be at. We're recording this on a Saturday.
Hmm.
Monday Night Raw for this coming Monday. Okay, April 1st is coming up in roughly 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Monday Night Raw, April 1st. The Barclays Center in Brooklyn. That's where the Nets play basketball.
So that's a pretty well known arena.
Yes, that's where the Nets play basketball. They opened up. I lived in New York when this happened. They opened up the Barclays Center with a 7-day residency of Jay-Z.
Oh, really?
I think he has some sort of stake in the arena. I know at one point, I don't know if he still does, had a small stake in the Nets.
Oh, cool.
But this is basically, since they don't hardly do Madison Square Garden anymore, this is where they go. They've had Summer Slams here, I think. They had at least one Summer Slam here. Brooklyn, you could easily fit 1,000 people in like a building in Brooklyn, like a housing build. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes, they're gonna be in Brooklyn in a week and 2 days. I lived in New York City for 3 years. Brooklyn is probably close to 1 million people, roughly, if you put all the neighborhoods in the borough.
Gotcha.
Right here is, yeah,
That's about 1% of Brooklyn,
ish,
if my math is right.
yeah. So yeah, Monday Night Raw is emanating from a recreation center in a resort town of 1,000 people. I find that fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of minutia is not something I seek out, but I do. It's neat to hear about it from you.
Yeah, like it interests me because I use when I look at I have the results, the card and the results of Raw when I take my notes,
Right?
and I'm using that website Fandom.
Hmm.
I'm sure you're familiar with Fandom.
Yes.
They have a pro wrestling wiki and it has all the results for Raw.
Gotcha.
So I can see like, oh, Alexandria Bay. I'm not familiar. Maybe that's a suburb of Buffalo or Syracuse, or it's somewhere up there where it's like, oh, Poughkeepsie's 30,000 people. You got to remember this is 93. Okay, I can buy that. Like, you did a lot of small towns in the 80s and 90s. Sometimes a lot of times they would have house shows for, WWE up until like the mid 90s at high schools.
Hmm. Never heard that one.
Oh, yeah. I'm talking about like Owen Hart versus the British Bulldog at a fucking high school.
Ooh, I would have loved to see that match.
Oh, no, yeah. Wait, we're going to start getting sowing the seeds of evil Owen Hart by the end of 93. It's fantastic.
Ooh, cool.
Where you end up with I consider one of two of the greatest opening matches in WrestleMania history.
Oh, looking forward to that.
WrestleMania 10, WrestleMania 30 was the other one. But anyways, we are 15 minutes into the recording, pre-editing, so I think we should go ahead and now that I've waxed poetic about where Monday Night Raw is emanating from, I think we should go ahead and get started. What do you think?
Sounds good.
All right. So once again, we are emanating from, pull up my notes here, Alexandria Bay, New York, at the Castle Recreation Center. So a rec center, basically. We open up the confrontation between Randy Savage and Doink from last week. Like they said, we're getting the match this week.
Hmm.
So, and I actually have in my notes, Bobby and Vince open at a place so small you can see the ceiling.
That's funny.
Yeah. And then we see Randy is actually not there. He's backstage in one of, I don't know, a locker room, maybe two locker rooms.
Hmm. We're in USA colors here.
Yeah, because it looks like it's the same outfit he had on for the Stars and Stripes challenge.
Ah.
It's what it looked like to me, at least. He's talking about his match with Doink or whatever. And we get into our first match of the night. Our boys, the Steiner brothers, versus Dwayne Gill and the man with the pat on the back, Barry Horowitz.
I was hoping for some good things from this match because I've the Steiners are amazing, and I've seen Gill and Horowitz go. They're not bad.
I didn't hate this match. Granted, it's an enhancement. We know who's going to win. I still enjoy. You can still enjoy an enhancement match, and I did.
Yeah. On the commentary side, it was nice to see Bobby was giving the Steiner brothers credit for what they can do.
Well, like I said, that a sign of a good heel promo or something that Bobby Heenan was very good at was you make your opponent look good. We've discussed this before.
Right.
Because, and I'll do the TLDR real quick. If I do, let's say you and I are feuding, right?
Right.
I'm the heel in this.
Mm-hmm.
If I say, oh, Big Bach, you're garbage, you're nothing, you're a piece of shit, what I usually tell you during the day. But like, oh, you're garbage, you're a piece of shit, you're a shitty wrestler, I can, whatever, whatever, whatever. So we have our match after I say this promo, right?
Right?
I beat you. Who the hell did I just beat? You're a nobody.
Right.
You beat me.
And then you got beat by that same nobody.
Yeah, like if I come across saying that you're a piece of shit, you're a nobody, you're a loser, you're a jobber, you beat me.
Right? It makes you look bad.
It makes me look worse. That if I can't beat this curtain jerker no-name guy.
Right.
So the Bobby's like, yeah, they're garbage, but they're good at what they do. They're just, I don't like them and I want them gone.
Right.
Just watch Bobby Heenan compilations. He's fantastic. He can get his guy over that he's going to beat so-and-so, but he also doesn't say that so-and-so's garbage. But you still believe that his guy is going to beat them. Like,
right. I got you.
Once again, Bobby Heenan, in my opinion, and we'll see another person, and you actually get to go off on a tangent here in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Heenan, in my opinion, the greatest manager of all time, and I am not the only one that believes that.
From what I've seen of his commentary, that's made me love him in that role, but I've never really seen him manage.
Look up his promos with his guys. Look up matches where he's a manager on the ringside. Yeah.
All right, sounds like I got some homework for tonight.
Yeah, speaking of Bobby Heenan, we're going to go ahead and do a comment here where I loved how he talked about, because we're going to be in suburban Detroit, an actual suburb, by the way, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn Hills, this is where the Palace at Auburn Hills for SummerSlam. This is actually where the Pistons used to play here. I was a Pistons fan as a kid. By the way, Dennis Rodman, my all-time favorite basketball player.
I gotcha.
So where SummerSlam's going to emanate from there. And he's talking about how, the Steiners are from Detroit. They went to the University of Michigan. All this. They're going to have a ticker tape parade. And the way Bobby explains it is fantastic.
Oh, I imagine they'll have the usual big parade for the Steiners. Yep. 3 rusted cars and 1 guy throwing confetti if he can tear up the Detroit Free Press good enough.
Yeah, like, that's why I love Bobby. He makes it seem like RoboCop, the Detroit and RoboCop was real. By the way, one of the greatest movies of all time, the first one. And I'm one of the rare ones that like the third one over the second one. And apparently that's sacrilegious.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that first one at some point. I just haven't gotten there yet.
But the way somebody described it, the Crow is RoboCop for goths. And I was like, yo. And I'm just like, they're not wrong.
I love that.
But obviously, RoboCop's also an allegory for Jesus, too.
Right, because he's reborn.
Yeah, reborn. They shoot. It's a violent movie. I should not have been watching this at 5 years old.
Oh, God, no, you shouldn't have.
Oh, and I was like, I now have a steelbook of one of my all-time favorite movies. It's fantastic. But yeah, no, people don't understand just how violent the first one is. But yeah, so basically, does that if RoboCop is an allegory for Jesus, does that make Eric Draven Jesus? And then what does that make the Crow then?
The devil, maybe?
But no, the Crow brought Eric back to life.
Oh, I actually haven't seen it.
Oh, The Crow's a fantastic movie. That was the last movie Brandon Lee did before he passed away. He actually died during an accident on set.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Anyways, fuck it. We're doing all tangents. This is like Oops All Crunchberries. It's Oops All Tangents. But when you just see how strong Scott was back then, he caught, I believe it was Dwayne Gill, caught him, wrapped him up, like arms around him, held him still, and then did a belly-to-belly.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
And then freaking Rick's like, hold my beer, and then he hit somebody with a center line so hard, I got welts on my chest.
Oh, yeah, that was terrible.
But yeah, like, we knew the foregone conclusion, but I actually did have a lot of fun watching this match.
Yeah, it was a good match. It showed off what they both could do.
Yeah, and of course, Scott spikes him with the Frankensteiner, spikes the poor guy, and then the good guys win.
2 minutes, 45 seconds. Great way to start the show.
Yeah, once again, no notes.
No notes.
And we get what I was told, part 1 of 5 of an interview with Lex Luger.
That many.
This is supposedly a 5-part interview. SummerSlam's in like less than 5 weeks. By the way, this whole section of the interview was basically, you can cover it in 4 words. Stay in school, kids. Because that's basically talked about how Lex Luger's dad was a concert pianist, and he's like, look, if you need to have A's if you want to play sports. And I think if I read it somewhere, in real life, Lex Luger was a member of the National Honor Society.
Really? That's neat.
Yeah, so he's a very smart man, but apparently this was because education was instilled in him at a very young age. This is what I got out of it.
He talked a bit about being introverted in that time too. I really felt that bit.
Hi, it's me. Yeah, so we get Adam Bomb. Next match, Adam Bomb with Johnny Polo versus Tony Roy.
Am I crazy? Has he always had those color contacts?
Uh-huh. At least since his debut, he has.
Okay.
Not much to say for this match.
Yeah, I literally wrote bog standard enhancement match. Tony doesn't do anything.
Yeah, top rope clothesline, the Adam Smasher, the Thunderfire Powerbomb for the win.
2 minutes, 18 seconds.
Mm-hmm. We talked about almost 5 minutes on the Steiner match that had about the same amount of time, and this had roughly the same amount of time, but so little happened.
Yeah, it was there and gone.
Not bad, just there.
Yeah.
We are getting our big match, featured match of next week. We're getting Tatanka versus Mr. Hughes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Mm-hmm. That's going to be fun.
And then speaking of featured matches, we are getting Doink versus the Macho Man Randy Savage, who says he has a little surprise for Doink, and he wasn't wrong.
He was not.
Macho Man comes down to the ring, checks under the ring for Doinks. Apparently, Doink didn't bring Doinks with him.
This is going to be my first time seeing Randy Savage wrestle, so I was looking forward to this match on that basis.
He did wrestle overall since we've done the show. It's when he had that 2-week feud with Repo Man, when Repo Man stole his hat.
I don't remember that at all.
It was around Royal Rumble. This was like phase 1 of the podcast.
Gotcha.
Because they was right around the Royal Rumble. We're getting into SummerSlam.
Okay.
This match was good, but here's the thing about Randy Savage that most people know, but newer fans like you don't know. Mm-hmm. Randy Savage was very meticulous about his matches. He basically mapped them out move by move before the match.
Gotcha. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. This is why, basically everything you see, there was not a lot of calling. There was not really any calling in the ring. I guarantee 95% of this was predetermined and figured out before they even went out there.
I hesitate to say that's a spot fest because that's that kind of a negative connotation.
No, it's not a spot fest. He was just, there's a good and a bad thing about doing matches like that. Like DDP was also known for this too. Where you and I, you're taught in wrestling school sometimes you have to call it in the ring.
Right.
You've seen them called in the ring thousands of times. You've seen them talk to each other.
Yes.
Or if it's a John Cena match, you can actually hear him.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times when you call in the ring, you can get a feel of how the crowd is moving back and forth, and then you can adjust on the fly.
Gotcha.
Sometimes people will call the entire match in the ring. No pre-planning whatsoever.
I bet that takes a lot of improvisational skill.
It's not easy. Trust me. I've never had to do it, but I know just the process of trying to call spots in the ring. Now try to do that for a 15-minute match.
Right.
Supposedly, Ric Flair said when he was in a feud with Wahoo McDaniel back in the day, supposedly they knew each other so well they didn't even have to talk.
Oh, that's interesting.
Supposedly.
Right.
I don't know if you know this, but pro wrestlers are known to inflate their egos. I'm not sure if you're aware of this.
Indeed.
It's supposedly.
Supposedly.
But anyways, this was actually, I enjoyed this. Randy did get caught. What I noticed, Doink took over relatively early on in the match. And at one point had Randy Savage caught a Boston Crab. And if you looked at Randy's boots, I noticed this. They were starting to fall apart.
Oh, really?
You could see the blue part of his boots, at least tops of it. I don't know if it was stitching or however it put together. It looked like the flaps on the side of his boots were starting to fall apart.
Oh, yikes.
So they do fight on the outside, and then Randy hits the ring post as we go to commercial. And I did notice that one thing Vince was right about is that, basically seeing that Randy Savage is a future Hall of Famer.
Right.
He's in the Hall of Fame. Can I give Doink props, though?
Absolutely.
He went, other than he's fantastically technically sound, he went for the whoopee cushion, and Randy dodged it. He got all tailbone on the fucking mat.
Oh, yeah. That looked awful.
speaking of small surprises, Randy goes out of the ring, and who pops out? The Macho Midget.
I did not see this coming.
That was his name, the Macho Midget. And if you look, it was a midget dressed like Randy Savage with a Randy Savage mask on.
This whole segment was just ludicrous, and I loved it.
Oh, I loved it. I'm not saying anything bad about this. And I don't know if they did this on purpose, but Randy Savage wins. Would we get a time on that?
9 minutes 24 seconds. He rolled Doink up to get it.
With what move? I don't know. I don't think they did this on purpose, but what move did he win with?
I actually didn't catch what move he used.
Small package.
Oh my god, I can't believe it.
I don't know if it's just because of my warped sense of humor. We just had a midget crawl out of the ring or whatever. But the fact that we just had this happen. By the way, his name is the Macho Midget. Randy Savage wins with a small package. I don't know if that was just, hey, I'm going to roll you up, brother, and that's how we're going to win or whatever. That's what he won with.
Is that possible meta there? That's hilarious.
I think that's just me, but, either way, I'll take it.
Yeah, still a funny thought.
Yeah. But so Randy wins. There was no doubt in my mind that was going to happen.
See, I didn't doubt that either.
Not saying that he politicked or anything. I just Randy Savage versus Doink in like a quick 2-week feud. Who would you expect to win?
Obviously, it would be Randy in that case.
Yeah. By the way, great match. All the funny stuff aside, sometimes funny doesn't work. Funny worked here for me.
Yeah.
I thought it was just the right amount of funny. Just a little bit.
It was a good balance.
See what I did there? Just a little bit?
Oh, you did it again.
That one was on purpose. Anyways, by the way, that's not the only time we're going to see the Macho Midget.
Oh, boy.
What if I told you there's a match next week with the Macho Midget teaming up with the Bushwhackers?
What?
Yes. This is a real thing. The Macho Midget will team up with the Bushwhackers.
This is going to be weird.
It's fucking weird. Anyways, something that's not weird is Mean Gene with the SummerSlam report. By the way, remember how I talked about last episode how they were still using when they had the pictures using for Yoko versus Luger for the title?
Right.
Still had a picture of Luger as his narcissist gimmick?
Right.
Did you notice they listened to me and they changed his picture? It's a different picture.
Okay.
They went back and they came forward in time, saw my complaint, went back in time and changed it. That's 100% what happened.
That's amazing, man. I can't believe they...
Wait. I got stroke. I got pull, man. I said it last episode, and what happened?
It happened.
You're welcome, folks. We are actually getting a contract signing next week between Yokozuna and Luger.
That'll be fun.
And the only match that they have announced that we already haven't announced yet, and this one I'm excited to see. It's for the Intercontinental title. Shawn Michaels versus Mr. Perfect for the title.
That's going to be great.
I'm excited. So we go back in the commercial and Vince and Bobby's on the phone with Ted DiBiase.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about the feud with 1-2-3 Kid, Razor Ramon, Money Inc., that whole triangle square intersecting feud.
Yeah.
They said, we have footage, and DiBiase's like, hey, if you show this footage, I'm going to hang up. And it was from an episode of All American Wrestling, I believe, the most previous episode.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't catch the date on that, where it was DiBiase versus the 1-2-3 Kid, and Ted had it won. He had him locked in the $1 Million Dream, and 1-2-3 Kid was out cold. So out comes Razor Ramon teasing Ted about all this, and Ted goes for like a cocky pin, and the Kid rolls him up in the crucifix and wins this. Ted, to his credit, does hang up.
He does.
And out of nowhere, and we'll explain this after the fact, but out of nowhere, out comes fucking Jim Cornette, dressed as only Jim Cornette does, and Bobby Heenan is beside himself. And Bobby was not the only one beside himself because, sir, you got a hold of me before we recorded a few days ago about how much you love this. And you know what? Go.
Yeah, this is my first exposure to Cornette cutting a real promo. There was a bit he did in WCW over the course of the podcast, but this is perfect. He and Bobby put each other over like only, as you said, only they can do.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's talking about this tag team he manages, the Heavenly Bodies. He wants to bring them to WWF to face the Steiners, and I would love to see that match.
Yeah, because I didn't mention this during the Steiner Brothers match, because as them being our tag champions, they have an open challenge for SummerSlam. Because you have seen, I think you might have seen at least clips of Jim Cornette, because Jim Cornette was in the WCW NWA era long ago.
Mm-hmm.
He owned Smoky Mountain Wrestling. We saw Smoky Mountain Wrestling earlier this year at Super Brawl.
Right, yeah, that's where I saw him. That must be it.
He owned Smoky Mountain Wrestling. It was an independent. It was in the Appalachia area.
Gotcha.
It was we're taking it old school like you used to like it. Sheepskin trunks and the wrestling and all this. It went from 91 to 95.
Gotcha.
I've seen episodes. It's kind of my thing because we've talked about I like early 90s WCW, like pre Nitro. I like Mid-South Wrestling. Smoky Mountain was kind of my thing, but I liked Mid-South better because Smoky Mountain at times got a lot of samey. Everything was the same. But for someone who's not saying who grew up with it, but also doesn't want to watch a lot of older wrestling, this was new to you. And this is not the Jim Cornette we have now where old man yells at cloud.
You see, yeah, I follow him on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it now.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to have a whole lot kind to say anymore.
Not really. Unless you're wearing sheepskin trunks at an outlaw mud show in Grand Rapids where, we're going to do rest holds and friggin' arm ringers for 27 minutes.
Yeah.
Wrestling passed him by, and the train came by and he didn't get on, and he's bitching because he didn't get on the train.
Right.
So, yeah, don't look up how he feels about Kenny Omega, we'll put it that way.
Okay.
But yeah, so he's calling up the Heavenly Bodies, and he's actually going to join us on commentary for the rest of the episode, which is not much left. But basically, it's the Doctor of Desire, Tom Pritchard, and Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey are the Heavenly Bodies.
Okay.
So we do get in, not our feature contest, but our quote-unquote main event of the night, Mr. Perfect versus Barry Hardy. I'm excited. It's Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, Mr. Perfect is good, but this is really just a backdrop for Vince and Jim Cornette to go back and forth.
Oh yeah, 100%. One thing I did notice that I picked up on this, was they were doing the whole drop down leapfrog, what we like to call the universal spot.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Perfect leapfrogged over Barry Hardy without slowing down a minute.
Yeah, what does that take? Leg strength, core strength?
Just skill in general. The fact that he was able to leapfrog practically while he was running. But yeah, we're introducing Jim Cornette, talking about only how Jim Cornette can do. Him and Bobby are having fun. You can hear Vince literally roll his eyes. But yeah, Perfect Plex for the win.
Yep. That took 2 minutes, 40 seconds.
And Jim Cornette said 874 words.
That's a lot.
He was called the Louisville Loudmouth for a reason. But basically, yeah, that's the end of Raw. We get, they talked about, once again, we're getting, Tatanka versus Mr. Hughes. They show more clips from the Lex Express. Overall, great show.
Yeah, very good.
The Steiner Brothers match was fun. We get good progress towards SummerSlam. Doink and Macho Man was great, like how I expected it to be. We get Jim Cornette on, for the first time in WWF TV, and he's going to be there off and on for 97.
Oh, that long. A lot of stuff to look forward to then.
Yeah. And he was in you'll trust me, he was in the creative team at some points. You'll know trust me.
Okay.
But yeah, as much as I liked Raw this week, I wish I could say the same about Saturday night.
Yeah,
if you heard my little spiel at the beginning, this is the most offensively meh episode they have had.
There were a few good bits, but on the whole, they're agreed. Offensively meh.
I would have wanted to see a Lost in Cleveland skit just to have something to talk about.
Oh my, that is harsh coming from you.
Because we could talk about Lost in Cleveland forever. Like, a lot of these matches, I take note, we take notes for all the matches for things we want to see.
Right.
3 lines, 4 lines, 2 lines, 1 line, 4 lines. Yeah. Period. So we open up on the new set because they are actually now at the Disney MGM Studios at Disney World.
Hmm.
And this is basically where they're going to be for the majority of the remaining time of Saturday night.
This is an actual move of change of location, not just a one-time thing.
Yeah, like basically this was an Eric Bischoff thing because he had become really the executive producer by this point.
Okay.
This is an Eric Bischoff thing to where they were stationed here. You know, people would wander in and out. Not everybody here was wrestling fans. You know, a lot of times you would go to a amusement park like, I'm going to go in here and, you know, cool down a little bit. So I'll go watch the Michael Jordan IMAX movie type thing. I mean, there's so many wrestling fans. Like TNA did this for years. Impact was at Universal Studios. You would see a lot of the same people. But it would also be like, hey, this is a free attraction. You want to go watch wrestling? A lot of guys would like this. A lot of the wrestlers would like this too because, and this is, you know, other people would say this. Eric Bischoff's mentioned this a lot of times. They would have, let's say they would have 2 or 3 days worth of shows of like tapings. They would tape a bunch of shows at once. And then everybody would they would stay at like, they would have like a little hotel or like a little apartment living area. And basically while everybody's wrestling, their families are at Disney World.
Gotcha.
So this was kind of a lot of guys like this. They could take their families to go to Disney World. They go wrestle for a little bit and then families would have fun.
Cool.
And so we get into our first match. Honestly, this might be one of my favorite matches of the night only because it's fucking Sting, who just retired, not even a month ago?
Not even.
Not even a month ago. And speaking of this, you know, we're big gamers. I stream on Twitch, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
I found out after the fact because one of the cool things, I don't know if you saw the clips of Sting's retirement match.
I did not.
He comes out with his sons, you know, his sons no desire to wrestle, but they're there for their dad. They have no desire to become wrestlers.
Right.
One of them actually played football for Kentucky, actually.
Oh, neat.
They're athletic, not their thing. Honestly, it's kind of nice to see that, you know, hey, my dad's a wrestler. My dad's a world famous legendary wrestler. Yeah, not my thing. Don't feel like wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, so they come out, Sting comes out to Seek and Destroy by Metallica. He did that for WCW for a little bit. Like, you know, the latter half. He would come out to Seek and Destroy by Metallica. And if you know anything about Tony Khan, no problems paying licensing fees for licensed music.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, you know, he'll drop some money. Like he actually will pay. You know, Europe, who did Final Countdown, are notoriously stingy. They have high price to use Final Countdown. He bought it so Bryan Danielson can use it because that was his theme song in Ring of Honor.
Cool.
So, but anyways, Tony Khan is like, oh yeah, you know what? I'll just buy lifetime rights to use this as a theme song. No problem.
Love it.
Yeah. Orange Cassidy has licensed music. Hook has licensed music. They have a guy who, by the way, Mikey Ruckus does a lot of their themes, like the non-licensed stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's amazing. But like for the licensed stuff, Tony's like, yeah, here you go. Here's the money. I kind of like that about him. He's like, nah, fuck it.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. But anyways, so his sons came out, one dressed as Wolfpack Sting, you know, the NWO, red and black, all this.
Mm-hmm.
The other one came out dressed as the red, white, and blue, the Star Spangled Sting that he won when he beat Ric Flair. I think it was Great American Bash, either 90 or 91. I want to say 90. When he won the title from Flair finally. And what was cool, I found out after the fact that the tights that his son wore are the same ones Sting wore that night in 90.
Oh, cool.
And then I found out after the fact, because you know how, like, gaming is becoming more and more prevalent, right? About fucking time, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, poor people are open about them playing video games. Apparently that son has a YouTube channel where he does freaking Destiny videos, Destiny 2 videos.
Cool.
I don't play Destiny, it's not my thing, but it's just like, he put a note, apparently somebody tweeted this and they'll put a note, it's like, yeah, sorry, I haven't been around much, my dad's Sting, and I've been getting into shape so I could be at his final match. Sorry, guys.
I played Destiny 1 a little bit, it wasn't my thing.
But yeah, it's just the funny thing, it's like, yeah, I've been watching this guy, you know, he's doing these cool Destiny videos, oh, by the way, my dad's Sting.
Yeah, that.
And it's not like he's using his dad for clout, because his channel has like 3,000 like subscribers, which, you know, in YouTube world is not a lot.
Yeah.
So he's just doing this as a hobby. He's like, oh, by the way, sorry I've been around a lot. My dad's Sting. But I just like, I just love how it interlocked.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And by the way, Stinger Splash, Scorpion Deathlock for the win.
Yeah, 1 minute, 26 seconds.
Honestly, this might be my favorite match of the night. Well, if not for the next one. But during the like halfway through this match, Harley Race comes out with the Kongs because Sting is wrestling King Kong at the Clash. They come out to the entrance. They don't say anything. Nothing comes out of this.
Yeah.
Like Sting doesn't even really acknowledge him.
Uh-huh.
The disturbing thing, though, there was a lady in the crowd with a fucking puppet. Like a ventriloquist dummy puppet.
Oh, wow.
I saw her in the crowd a few times. Like, this thing looked like she could have been on America's Got Talent. Like, she has a fucking puppet with her. She wasn't a part of the show. Nothing about a woman went to the show wrestling. Hopefully those were her kids she was with because we got some weird shit going on. With a puppet.
Why?
What? Thank you. Why? So honestly, sad thing was if it wasn't for this match, the Sting match would be my favorite match of the night. It's Tex Slazenger, Shanghai Pierce versus Bobby Eaton and Chris. Which honestly, even because of the incident, I don't mind the tag team. This would have been a cool tag team to watch.
Absolutely.
I noticed this. I don't know if you caught this when they were talking about, because, you know, these guys have had like a short 2-3 week feud because one team beat the Coles, the other team didn't, whatever.
Yeah.
It's basically a heel versus heel dick swinging contest, is basically what this feud is. Did you notice the weird frame around the border of this match?
I did not notice that.
I'm watching this and I look down because once again this episode bored me severely. I was looking down at my phone and I look up and there's a black border, almost like the ratio's off, but it's like they just put a border around the match and then an orange border around that. It looked really weird.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, it was honestly, there was good contrast by the teams. You know, you got the Eaton team is very technical, fast. You know, you get the speed. Bobby Eaton was always low key, super underrated. And then you just got that raw fight, punch power. You know what I like to call hams and slams of how Jesse likes to call them the Texicans.
Yeah.
Can I be honest with this? This match didn't do it for me either. It was a good match, but it was all super, super basic stuff. There was nothing here that was like, oh shit. Which you don't need that, but you know what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah. You've said that sometimes the basics are enough. This time it wasn't.
No, like nothing, honestly, nothing happened. Like, it was bad. Like, it wasn't a bad match. Like, technically, the match was good. Like, there was not really botches or anything bad. There was just it was empty calories.
It didn't do anything.
No, nothing. And, like, I don't mind Slazer and Pierce, and I like the other team, too. But this was just really a back and forth match, and Bobby hit one of them with a neck breaker for the win.
6 minutes, 40 seconds.
Yeah. Like, can do better.
All four of them can do better.
Yeah, we've seen all four of them do better. Fuck, we had, what was it? The first episode, we had versus Scorpio, and that was fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah. Way back in the day now.
No, we had Scorpio versus... It was Scorpio versus Scotty Flamingo from Clash of the Champions. It was versus Brad Armstrong, which was still really good.
Right.
Brad Armstrong was super underrated, but that's a whole other thing. But anyways, and I noticed as the show starts to fade out into the next commercial, Tony's starting to talk about Harley Race, and they're like, nope, commercial, fade out.
Yeah, that was abrupt.
Yeah. We get our next match, which was a lot of guy we're a fan of, Marcus Alexander Bagwell versus the man who puts Asian and Caucasian, Yoshi Kwan. We established this last episode. There's a reason I say he puts the Asian and Caucasian.
Right, he is not Asian.
No, I'm more Asian than this man is. And I'm not Asian. He is accompanied by Harley Race, so maybe that's what Tony was talking about before he was so rudely interrupted. And they keep saying this is his debut. This is the first look at Yoshi Kwan. His debut. We don't know what to expect. He was on Saturday night 2 weeks ago.
Did they air the episodes in the wrong order, maybe?
No, because this was a different arena. This is the first time they're in the Disney MGM studios.
Oh, right.
But they're acting as if this was Yoshi Kwan's first match in WCW, or at least on Saturday night, and it's not. He had a match we talked about it.
Right.
We talked about how even the theme song's offensive. Like, I swear to you, they're one step away from going nee 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 nee. They're not far off from that.
Yeah.
You heard the theme song. They're not. They're only a couple steps away from that. Or am I wrong?
You are not.
Like he was shuffling like a geisha girl into the match, into the ring. Like they were like if they would have had licensed music, he would have came out to fucking kung fu fighting. I've seen The Last Dragon, and that movie's less offensive. Actually, The Last Dragon's a badass movie.
Have not seen it.
The Last Dragon, that's a great show enough. But here's the thing that I got out of this match. Jesse being incredibly offensive.
Yeah.
Yoshi Kwan knows how to wrestle, but he comes in with that oriental stuff, like them spinning leg moves, those crescent kicks, and of course the praying mantis kung fu.
And here's the crazy thing. Tony, both at the same time, calls him out for calling everything he did oriental, but also agrees with him at the same time.
Like that was not a good look for either of them.
How do you disagree and agree at the same time? Because at one point Jesse's like, well, what do you call it, Tony? Tony could have said a Far East maneuver, a martial arts maneuver. They say he's from Hong Kong, a Hong Kong,
Yeah.
No, he goes, nope, I guess you'd call it Oriental too. What?
Why?
Honest, can I be honest? Once again, we're both big Bagwell fans, right?
Yeah.
Ability-wise, I have no problem with Yoshi Kwan. Ability-wise, no problems. I like the style.
Uh-huh.
This match went on way too long.
And it wasn't even that long.
It felt long. But we go and, we get I kind of like the counter, though. Bagwell went for that kind of, like, leapfrog crossbody, and friggin' Yoshi Kwan just sat down.
Yeah.
And then he put on that Nerf hold that I like and got the win.
Yeah, that was 4 minutes, 18 seconds.
It felt like it was it felt twice as long. Because, once again, this, technically, sound was the best match, I think, between this and the tag match.
Yeah.
Not much happened in the tag match, and this match was too long, so I don't know what we're going to get. Once again, I would rather have it lost in Cleveland because we at least make fun of that. So Tony's ringside with Harley after the match. Basically, they're just talking about Cactus Jack. Tony, Harley Race isn't getting dead plants anymore. Obviously, we're building towards a Cactus Jack return.
Right. Very clear.
Back from commercial again with Dustin Rhodes. Oh, by the way, I forgot about this because this is how important this was. Very beginning of the show, we're on the stage, and Tony is with Jesse, and they have a video feed with Rick Rude and the man with the largest bladder in WCW history, the freaking Equalizer, because apparently he has to go to pee again.
Indeed.
Talking about this, and then they just watching them talk about, we don't even know who the secret partner is, because it's going to be Rick Rude and Bladder Bob. I've decided his name is now Bladder Bob. Rick Rude and Bladder Bob versus Dustin Rhodes and a mystery partner. And we were supposed to get the announcement of the mystery partner this week, but nope. We're going to get clues. And honestly, if you know, like, history, like they said, he was the partner was a former 6-man tag champion with Dusty. Like, if you know your history, or I don't know, you could look it up in the PWI Almanac, which was a thing back then.
Mm-hmm.
You know exactly who this is.
I haven't looked it up. I'm not familiar with that history. I still think it's going to be Cactus Jack.
We'll see.
We'll see.
But I like that you don't look it up anyways, regardless. So you going in this thing 100% surprised.
Exactly. It's more authentic that way.
Yeah. So Dustin basically says that this was a former 6-man tag champion with Dusty Rhodes, and then it's going to be your doom at Clash of the Champions. So we go to commercial, or we come back. No, we come back. Somehow, Bladder Bob hasn't got time to go pee because he's in a match with Rick Rude against Warren Quinn and Leroy Howard. And thank you, Peacock or WWE, whoever, for the obviously dubbed over music that was so loud we couldn't hear Jesse or Tony.
I did notice that. Was that a rights issue with whatever was the original audio?
Well, either Equalizer had some song they didn't have the rights for, which I wasn't watching this, so I don't know what his theme song was.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're just not letting us play that awesome Rick Rude theme song that we got last week, by the way.
Huh.
So, but other way, it's so overdubbed, and you could tell this was not the actual song.
Yeah, I could not hear Tony or Jesse at all.
No. And, God, this match sucked.
Yeah, I took about 2 sentences of notes.
I have 2. Thanks, obvious dubbed in music. Rude Awakening for the win. Those are my notes for the whole match.
Yeah. Well, Warren and Leroy got brutalized. Rude Awakening win.
Yeah, what's the time on that?
1 minute, 20 seconds.
Yeah. And then we go to another match. Too Cold Scorpio versus not Mercenary 1, but
Mercenary number 2.
yes. No idea who the fuck this was. I looked it up because, I like to find out who's under the mask or under the paint.
Right.
I could not find any info. However, it looked like, and I don't think it was because this guy was too big. To me, in the face, it looked like Art Barr. For those that don't know, Art Barr, he was like a second-generation wrestler from the Pacific Northwest.
Uh-huh.
Your Washington and your Oregon or whatever. Who was most known, he did a little time in WCW as the Juicer, who totally wasn't Beetlejuice. Psst, he was Beetlejuice.
Indeed.
Well, they also had Arachnaman that was just a purple and yellow Spider-Man. It's a thing.
Huh.
Just look this up. But he was best known in Mexico. He went out to Mexico and was in a tag team with Eddie Guerrero.
Ooh.
And Art had passed away years and years ago, and he used this move that I think he called it the Jackknife Splash, that Eddie would adopt as memory to his close friend, that we now know as the Frog Splash.
Ah.
And honestly, and I've seen Art Barr's Frog Splash, Jackknife Splash, whatever. If anybody could do it better than Eddie Guerrero, it was Art Barr.
Gotcha.
His was Eddie Guerrero levels of good.
Awesome.
And you've seen Eddie Guerrero's Frog Splash.
Once or twice, yeah, but I've never really seen any of his matches.
Yeah, but you've seen the Eddie Guerrero Frog Splash.
Yes.
It's fucking good.
It is.
Art Barr's was the only. I think the Art Barr's was the only one that came remotely close. Some people might say it was better.
Gotcha.
Eddie Guerrero says that Art Barr's was better. But anyways, this was Scorpio hit a rock bottom at one point. I noticed he hit a rock bottom.
Yee.
No, it wasn't a bad rock bottom. It was just like, oh, it's a rock bottom as a transition move.
Indeed.
And then 450 for the win.
2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Oh, this was a drag to get through.
Yeah, the whole episode really was.
We're almost over. We got one more match. It is the main event, quote unquote. Max Payne and Paul Orndorff versus Ricky Steamboat and Johnny B. Bad. I see why they're doing this. These are they're feuding. These are also everybody's opponents for Clash. This makes sense.
Right.
Jesus Christ, this match was fucking bad.
Yeah, I was not a fan.
We did get a flying nothing at one point because we haven't seen a good one in a while.
Yeah. I marked in my notes that it had been a while.
It's been a long time since we've seen one like this.
Yeah.
We talked about Ricky Steamboat is literally my all-time favorite wrestler.
Right.
That was one of the worst hot tags I've ever seen.
Yeah, not so much.
Where he was like, Orndorff had tagged in Max Payne, and then Ricky was like, jumped back, was like, oh no, oh, like he's gonna fall, then just spun a tag. I'm like, what the fuck was that, Ricky?
Yeah, that was not good.
You're a world champion, for fuck's sake. But the bad guys win could DQ because Orndorff pulls out, the tape wrapped around so it's supposed to look like brass knuckles.
Right.
He goes to hit Johnny B. Bad, who takes it, then hits Max Payne with it. The ref sees it and DQs the good guys.
Yep, that was 7 minutes and 15 seconds.
Nothing.
No.
And I like how, and once again, the heel commentator makes the most sense because Tony's like, whoa, why did they get DQ'd? Orndorff brought it in. And Jesse's like, well, Johnny B. Bad got caught with it.
Right.
Whoever gets, it's the whole possessions is 9/10 of the law.
Yeah, and Johnny was the one who used it.
He got caught using it. Doesn't matter who brought it in.
Right.
If I bring in a gun and you shoot me, who's in trouble?
I am.
Yeah, that's the concept. It's like, well, he got caught using it. Doesn't matter who brought it in. But yeah, that was... we do see, for the last, minute of the show, Tony brings out the Horseman. Rick talks about how he's going to have a special flair for the gold. And I'm so excited because this flair for the gold has one of the most infamous Russell Crap moments in history. It ruined a man's career.
That bad?
Yeah, bad.
Oh, God.
It killed a gimmick and basically ruined a man's career.
Oh, jeez.
In one segment. He was never the same after this.
Wow.
It killed a gimmick, and a man was never even remotely close to where he was at before after this.
That is awful.
I think he was gone by the end of the year. It's... I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And then, Arn and Roma talk about, well, Roma wasn't bad in this promo, but when you put him up against Arn Anderson,
There's no comparison.
yeah, they're talking about how they're going to beat the Hollywood Blondes for the titles in a couple weeks. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank God that was only, if that was a 2-hour show,
Yeah, like that would have been thank God it wasn't.
it was an hour.
Yeah.
This was awful.
Yeah, I think this is WCW's weakest show since we started the podcast.
It's up there. If not number one, it's very close. There was nothing good on this show.
Yeah. I'm not even going to name a favorite match from that show.
What? Which one? You can't.
Right, none of them did anything.
I would rather watch Adam Bomb versus Tony Roy before any of those matches again.
Wow.
However, speaking of Raw, obviously, I would say obviously, but easily the match of the night and the match of the show, and I think we're going to agree on this, Doink versus Macho Man.
Agreed.
I was enjoyable.
Yeah, that was good.
Midget aside.
Midget aside, yes.
Who we'll see next week.
Oh boy.
But yeah, that is Dropkicks and Attractions for this week. I promise we'll be back next week, guys. I promise.
Come hell or high water, we'll make it happen.
Yeah. Considered I'll have to do the notes early because after Tuesday, I have Wednesday and then nothing off until Saturday when we record.
Oh boy.
So I'll basically have to do the notes before I go back on Tuesday. So thankfully, I don't think there's going to be a lot to talk about anyway. So anyways, you can find us on YouTube. Thank you, everybody on YouTube. Thank you, everybody on Rumble. We're getting great stuff on Rumble. We're doing buku numbers on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google. I think if Google's still doing podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find us. And if there's some place that you use that you want to see us on, we'll find a way. Where can we find you, sir?
I am Big Boct, BIGBOCT, pretty much anywhere you can find social media.
Okay, and how's any other projects coming up?
Still workshopping Techsploration, where I talk about technology. Looking forward to getting that going.
Yeah. For myself, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok. While TikTok's still around, we'll see how that goes. I've been putting up shorts on YouTube. It's all Xander and Victor's. I've been putting up all my gaming shorts on YouTube anyway, so we'll see how that goes. I'm actually I got back in doing the Division 2. I used to be really, really good at that game, at least kills-wise. I used to be one of the top shotgun kills in the game. I'm already up to the top 47% already.
Did you start a new profile, or did it carry over from when you were playing it before?
Oh, new profile.
Okay.
This is a new username. I couldn't find the old username, so I made a new one.
Gotcha.
I'm already I can actually pull the stats right now. As of today, I'm top 43%.
Cool.
According to this website, and I haven't played it since Wednesday.
Gotcha.
217 of my kills are by shotgun. I'm already closing in on the top 50% on bleed kills, too. So, basically what we're doing is Monday and Tuesday, Division 2. I have a character I play offline. Well, not offline, but off-stream, and a character I play on-stream. Basically, I'm going to, it's the Bullet Rain build I'm trying to do where she has a light machine gun and SMG. So, basically, I hit you with 75 bullets in 2 seconds.
Gotcha.
Is the idea. And then Thursdays and Fridays, we're doing WWE 2K24. By the way, that game is fucking amazing.
Yeah, one of the YouTubers I follow is playing it too, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, there's a Twitch streamer you follow that you should watch him play it too.
I should watch you.
You what? What? But basically, what I'm doing right now is I'm doing My Rise mode, which is their story mode.
Mm-hmm.
And there was I'm also on Thursdays we're doing that, and then once I finish both My Rises, I'm going to do my Xander 3 belts where I do my own universe mode where I'm on all 3 shows at the same time.
Gotcha.
And then on top of that, on Fridays, we're starting this Friday, as a matter of fact, I'm going to do a universe mode where it's all fictional characters, because I was looking specifically for a belt that you get in My Rise.
Gotcha.
It's called the Multiversal Champion. I wanted that as my world champion belt, and I got it Thursday. So starting this Friday, I'm going to work on it all day tomorrow on Sunday. We're going to be doing only multiverse.
Love it.
Yeah, I've already downloaded one character, one of my favorite interview guys, and a guy that's actually been helping me out with my podcasting stuff. The man, the myth, the legend, Chris Van Vliet is the first person that's been drafted because I found somebody made a call of him. So I'm like, yep, we're using Chris.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna be doing. I've seen the Mario Brothers as characters. I've seen SpongeBob and Patrick as characters. I've seen Jason Voorhees. I might pick up a Bruiser Brody, and it's just basically a multiverse, and I'm gonna commentate like I was doing before.
Mhm.
So, thank you everybody for coming out, and thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.
Take care.